The first speaker joining us on stage is Ivan's friend, Maclay Longhurst. So Macca is a former colleague of mine and someone who I've had a lot to deal with over the last 10 years. He's an amazing agent with great energy and the new owner of Sotheby's Woollahra. I'm just going to add to that because on the way here, I thought about, and this is probably directed at the younger agents, I walked into Brezzy Whitney Glebe in 2013, and Macca was an assistant at that point. He was Will Phillips' assistant. And over an 11-year period, what I've observed is Macca go from an assistant to move into the Darlinghurst office to deciding to work in Surrey Hills. I remember Macca saying to me, I actually want to work in Paddington, Woollahra. And I was thinking, are you sure that's a good idea? There's really good agents there. And he's like, I'm going to do this. To watching Maclay absolutely thrive and succeed, to opening his own office, and literally being one of the best agents in the country. I'm going to add one more thing. I don't remember the exact number, but I remember seeing Macca in Darlinghurst maybe 2 years ago, and he had a number on his screen. It was something like 18,000. I was like, what's that number? And he said, that's how many calls I've made this year. It's perplexing to me that he made that many calls, but I know he meant it because he started dialing somebody while I was standing there talking to him. So I just want to share that that's what you can do in 10 years, but you've got to do the hard work too. So welcome to the stage, Macca and Ive.
Macca.
What an intro. Far out.
Hello, mate.
Hey, bro.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Appreciate you. Have a seat.
What an event. Yeah. This is crazy.
It's good to have you here, Mac.
Mate, when you told me about this, you said there was going to be 50 people here. That's the only reason I accepted it.
It's good to have you here, my man. We got a lot. We could talk about a lot. So, the first thing off the bat is I think that a lot of people don't really know you. They know who you are. They know what you do, but you don't really put yourself out there in the public. You've been asked to speak at ARIC, you've been asked to speak on podcasts, you've been asked to speak with others. Why have you not done that stuff? I'm curious.
It's just a protection of my time. I find my time in two different spaces. So the first space is typically the business Maclay, and then I've got the personal Maclay, the at-home life Maclay. And, I just want to protect my time there. I find either I'm in business and I'm in the zone. I'm at home and I'm in the zone at home. I want to spend time with my wife. I want to give her the time, and I don't want to be on my phone all the time and take that away from her either. So, James Ball and I were talking about this the other day. I get home, and if it's 6 o'clock, I'll turn my phone goes on silent and goes on the charger in my room. I don't look at it again until the morning. I don't sit on my phone with my wife until 9 o'clock at night and don't give her the time. So it's a protection of time, essentially, yeah.
And just for the crowd, do you want to come a bit closer?
Yeah.
Just for the crowd, how many...
How close, mate? Fucking hell.
How old are you?
38.
And you're 38, and how many sales did you have in September?
As a group, 30. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Do you mind sharing how much commission you made?
I heard Alex say in a podcast the other day it was a lot and didn't want to put out the numbers, so I might just leave it with that.
Fair enough. It was a lot. It was a lot. But I think it's important, that we start there. But I want to go back today because a lot of people won't get to your level, okay? But I think there's something, I want to know more about the start of your career because we met at a festival and you're all probably getting the wrong idea of us.
Good times.
Good times, really good times. In fact, that festival, remember when we got on the bus at the Gold Coast and it was summer field days and we were driving back to Versace Hotel. Do you remember what you did?
Don't make me do it.
No, the whole bus was quiet and we'd just obviously been partying and there was 5 of us and everyone's on this bus. It's 11 o'clock at night, the sun's gone down. We're on the way back from, there used to be big summer field days. This is 15, 20 years ago. Do you remember what you said?
Has anyone been on a bus on the way back from a festival before? There's a few down frowns, right? Not many people are smiling. The festival's over. Everyone's sort of winding down. The bus was really quiet, and I like high energy. And I was sitting on the bus, and I'm like, this is boring. Let's lift. Let's go. So I stood at the front of the bus. I walked out the front of the bus like this, saw Ivan, and I went
out of Cronulla.
I looked up, and Ivan's like, what's this guy doing? I said, I said a boom, 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 let me hear you say whale.
Well,
The whole bus went up. I said a boom, 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 let me hear you say whale. And the whole bus changed. Everyone had a mad time on the way home. Everyone had a good time. No one wanted to get off.
You're a legend. So, sorry, I know it's not very real estate based. I think
Can't believe you made me do that. It's embarrassing.
you've always had amazing energy. Where does that come from?
You hear Oddie say it actually a lot. There's a transfer of energy, and I find like when you can transfer energy onto people, you become magnetic, right? So you transfer energy onto a buyer, they magnetise towards you. Easy to get a deal done. You deliver good energy to a seller when you're sitting in front of them. They love it. They feed into it. You've got way more chance of getting the business. So I found that out early. That was the one thing. And the second thing is around my energy is I know at the start of the day, by the way, this energy is, I've got to implement certain things into my morning routine in order to get this energy, in order to get to the level that I'm at. If I didn't train, if I didn't, have cold showers, if I didn't say a prayer in the morning, I wouldn't get it. But my view is this: I think if you can have really good energy throughout the day, things will attract to you. And I'm all about being, an attraction agent and attracting good things in my life and trying to share that.
Yeah. So you started 22, 23 at Brexit Winnie, is that right?
Yep.
From the oil refinery job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're driving every day from Cronulla up to Darlinghurst. You became a really good leasing agent, and having watched you as a younger person, you've been very committed to the craft ever since day one.
Mm.
So did you get into this thing thinking I want to be rich, or did you get into this thing thinking I'm not good at anything else, or did you think like this is a good industry, it's fun? Like what was it? How did you get in? What did you do? Like what were you?
I want to be rich.
You did.
Yeah. No, in all seriousness, you know why? We went to the festival, right? We met there. I went back to Darlinghurst. So you called me up and said, come in and do work experience. I did a Saturday work experience with Ivan. I get to the office. We go straight down to his car. The guy's driving a 911. We get into his 911. We're driving around. Everyone knew the guy. So we're driving around Darlinghurst. Ivan's waving at people. I'll call you, waving over there like this. I'm going, this guy's famous. He's driving his 911. It looked unbelievable, right? I was a 23-year-old. Ivan was right. I worked at the oil refinery. I probably had oil under my fingernails at the time. And I was like, this is unreal. Then we go past his house. He's got this apartment with these beautiful city views. He's got like this bachelor pad. I'm like, this guy's like legit. Like he's like James Bond. And I was like, and that's all I wanted. I go, no, I'm being serious. This is exactly what I thought. This is a true story. But that was my first introduction to real estate. Yeah. That was it. That was my introduction to real estate.
So that was the thing. It was that lifestyle potentially that drew you in.
Exactly. And I think the fact that I was so naive to how hard it would be to go from doing work experience to doing leasing for multiple years because you wouldn't let me get into sales, to doing sales, being an assistant, moving around, getting into starting your own team. Yep. I was so naive to that journey that I just went in every single day and went, I'm going to be awesome. I'm going to be good. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be Ivan. I'm going to be Ivan. I'm going to be Ivan. And I didn't realise how long it would take.
You've done more than you're a much better agent than I ever was, that's for sure. So if we go back, can I put a situation to you?
Sure.
I'm a 24-year-old. Mm-hmm. I get a job at ABC Real Estate in Bondi. Uh-huh. What do? I come to you and I go, Maclay, you're obviously a hero. I'm 24, I just got a job at ABC Real Estate in Bondi. Mm-hmm. What should I do?
Well, the first time you get a job, what are you doing? You're picking up keys, you're doing valuations, you're doing building reports. Be the best in the world at that. Be proactive. Go out there, pick up the keys, get them back quickly, put them on the desk. What else can I do? Go out and do a building report. Send a message to the building report guy afterwards. Mate, really nice to meet you. Look forward to doing the next one. Like, just be the best you can at everything you do. And if you do that through every single stage, you'll progress up the food chain much quicker. And you'll actually start to enjoy it more as well. And people do it. Like, I've got one guy, Lockie, he's here, there he is at the front there with the big mullet. The guy's a legend. He comes in from Cronulla every day, smile on his face, gets in early, does all the shit, all the stuff that no one wants to do. With a smile on his face, he's proactive, He does stuff before I ask him to do it, and I know everything's going to be done. And I said to him, I go, mate, keep doing what you're doing and you'll progress up that food chain much quicker. So that's the first thing, right? And then obviously there's steps to becoming a real estate agent, which I think everyone knows. You start off doing buyer work and then you move into the next phase and the next phase and the next phase until you're an accomplished real estate agent. And then you're still learning every day.
And at what point did you start to think, because he was a really good leasing agent and really outworked people and did a lot of deals, and his attitude and energy was so infectious. It's always been, even when he was earning $600 a week. So I still remember that guy. It's just the same now. He's just earned a lot more money and he's a lot more prolific in the industry. So at what point did you start going, mate, I'm actually good at this?
I still don't really think that.
Because?
I find it's still challenging. Like, every day's hard. Like,
yeah, but surely you must be thinking, I'm really good at this. You're sitting here now, you've made all this money and you've got 40 listings. And
no, I think the amount of work that I put in and the consistency over such a long period of time, it's like, I can see why I made it here. Because it's like you're stacking days every single day. You're stacking. At some point, it's gonna pay off. But like, I don't miss days. I don't miss. If I'm in a bad mood, I don't miss. If I'm in a good mood, I don't miss. Everything's exactly the same for me every single day. It's mundane. I get it. But boring? I'm so competitive.
Boring?
No.
Well, why are you saying it's mundane?
Well, it's mundane because it's like every day, same thing. But the reason why I say it's not boring is because I'm so competitive. I always say it's my biggest attribute, but it can also be my biggest weakness as well. And it can be my biggest weakness because if you're really good at what you do, if you're at the top of your game at what you do in any industry, I don't care what it is, sports, business, home life, you've got to sacrifice other parts of your life. You can't be good at that and then also be good at everything else. It's just not possible because you've got to devote so much time to that. So that's why it's my biggest...
You're saying there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make along the way.
Huge sacrifices.
Do you see the majority of agents making those sacrifices, yes or no?
No, you only see the top 1%. You see some of them make the sacrifices on the journey up and you go, fuck, that guy's going to be good. That lady there is going to be very good.
Because what, you see something in them that you think...
You see a driven individual that's willing to sacrifice in order to get to that particular level.
Yeah. And see how I was just talking about the 3 types of people, self-made? Before I said there's 3 types. Like, when I speak to people and I'm like, I'm recruiting for a sales associate. I think the number one thing you're looking for is some hunger and, the enthusiasm and a good attitude. Everything else you can work with. So if you can find that, we employed so many people. There were only, 15 or 20 that really, really excelled. We had amazing people at Bressy Whitney. They still do. But when I think about all the 200 agents, I spoke to Shannon Whitney a week ago. I had an interview. I said, Shannon, we've employed over 200 agents over the last 20 years. He goes, yep. But only 10% of them, and that's still a good number, made the REB top 100. So that means there's been a lot that have come and gone and haven't made it, but yet there's still a small number that have.
Obi said in the thing, it's obsessiveness. If you've got someone who's obsessive with what they do and they continue to stack those days and they do it every single day, whether the day's good or bad, like at some point you're going to break through.
So as a 24, 25, 26, you're just saying, mate, be great, have a good attitude, keep doing hard work. What else are you saying there? I just reckon a commitment to be your best person every single day. And that comes down to energy. Be a good person to people. Like, that's so important. Be a good person, have great energy, and do it consistently. Like, if you can do those 3 things, like as I said, I've said it to everyone, like anyone can make it. You just got to do those things. You know what the difference is between everyone? People aren't willing to be consistent. They think they're consistent. A lot of people go, I'm consistent. Well, no, you're not. You had Saturday off. I'm consistent. Well, you slept in the other day. No, you're not. You're not consistent. Is there days that,
you had a fucking burger at work, you're not consistent.
Yeah. And is there days... Oh, I'm with him. I'm not going to laugh about it. Is there days that you feel average or don't want to work, or is it just robotic?
I don't find there's days where I don't want to work. I definitely find there's days where I wake up and I go, all right, I've got to really focus on my morning routine here so that I can give good energy to the rest of the office. Because I'm like, okay, I had a tough day yesterday, a couple of sales might have fallen over, whatever happened, let's get back on the horse, let's focus. I've got to deliver good energy to my team to be a good leader. So yeah, of course there's going to be challenges, but I think you can overcome them. Like, you go for, like, my biggest thing, if I have a bad day the night before, or something happens, I'll set my alarm even earlier the next day, just to go like, fuck you, I'm going to go harder today. and then I go for a run, like a long run, and I'll play like rap music. You know, they've got big egos and they talk about all that stuff. I listen to that. And then I go for a long run, and then I do a long stretch, and then I go, okay, like I'm ready now.
You reset.
I fully reset. And then by the time I finish that, and I do my prayer of gratitude, which I do every morning, it helps.
Yep.
It really, really helps. And then I go to work and I go, there are some mornings where I go, all right, and I go for a run, and I intentionally do this. I said to one of the guys at Bressy Whitney a few years ago, might sound a little bit lame, but I go for a run and I try for my whole run to smile, for my whole run. I do it, legitimately. So I would look very weird, but it's 4:30 in the morning, so no one really sees me, but I'm running like this. Can I tell you, it changes your attitude. I promise you, it changes your attitude. So yeah, I do that sometimes as well.
You're always a big phone prospector, right? Even as a junior sales agent, or like first few years, like I still recall those years where you're just always on the phone. So like, who were you ringing back then? They didn't know who Maclay Longhurst was. No one knew you, like 15, 10 years ago. Who were you calling all the time?
As your career progresses, obviously you start calling different people.
Sure, but
your
go back.
Communication changes, yeah. But if I go back to the very start, the biggest thing that Bressy Whitney was the best vehicle for my career, right? So they did everything for me in terms of becoming a good leader, understanding the fundamentals of becoming a good real estate agent. But the one thing they really implement into every single person is buyers. That's the first thing. Because what do a lot of agents do? Let's say you start at an office, they give you a phone, they give you a computer, and they go out and be a real estate agent. What's the first thing most people do? They go and try and find sellers. Hey guys, you're looking to sell your house. You're looking to sell your house. And that's what a lot of our competitors were doing, and that's what a lot of them are still doing. Like, you never heard me go call anyone. No one's ever heard me ever call anyone. I've made more phone calls than anyone besides Alex Phillips, and ask them if they're selling their house. I never did it because I was taught to call buyers. And that's the first thing I did. And interestingly enough, when you go back to your previous question, you say, what would you do if you were a young agent, you're starting off now? I would make a list up of the top 20 or 30 buyers in my marketplace today, understand the market the best way I can in terms of market knowledge, and service those buyers. Send them out to other agents' listings. They don't have to be yours. Well, I've got no listings. I don't care. Send them to other agents' listings. Then follow them up after the open home. What do you think of the house? Yeah, good, yeah. And talk to them about the house and build the relationships with those people. That's what I started doing. And through that, I built a database because people would buy. I'd add them to the database. And then that's essentially how I started. And they're the first calls I'd make. I'd do it every single day. Just call buyers all day.
So you go into a fairly new market, because we were strong in the inner city. You chose Paddo.
Yep.
Which we had minimum market share in at that time. And they were it was more of an elitist market for us inner city guys. So why did you choose that market? And was it just the buyer thing that you chose to use as a way to penetrate that market?
I chose that market because, I don't know if I ever told you the story. I was in leasing and I was sitting downstairs and the Wentworth Courier came one day and I was sitting there and I opened the Wentworth Courier and I was flipping the pages and Ben Collier and James Dack had literally 15 pages, full pages of listings in Paddo, Woollahra. And I was like, these houses are beautiful. These houses are unbelievable. We're selling 1 and 2 bedroom apartments in Surrey Hills, Darlinghurst, in the inner city, and these guys are selling these beautiful sandstone homes, heritage homes with pools, and I'm like, this is unbelievable. They've got 15 of them. Yeah. I also thought about the commission too, like far out. Imagine like they're getting 5 times the commission on that on one of the houses, they've got 15 of them. This is crazy. I go, that's what I want. And I always sort of had that mindset, but it never sort of developed into action until I got into sales and worked out, okay, now what can I implement to sort of be able to get to that space?
Yeah, I still remember him saying to me, I think we were on the drink one night, he goes, I want Paddington, this young kid. And I was like, yeah, whatever. And sure enough...
That's exactly what he said.
No, he did. And I was like, how's this 25, 26-year-old kid from Cronulla going to be beating Georgia Cleary, Kim Jones, James Dack, Ben Collier, and the rest of the 50-year-old real estate agents who'd been doing it for 30 years, 20 years? So you get in, you work buyers, you build your database, and then how did you sort of move the dial on that? Was it was it just repetition and building database and getting results? Like, go back there because there's a lot of people.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, exactly. Repetition, calling buyers. But it was very challenging at the start because no one at Bresic Winnie had ever broken into that market or ever tried, and there was no data there for us because if people know Paddington, Woollahra, the marketplace is quite fickle. And I say that because they want to stay in Paddington, Woollahra, so people aren't really moving around other marketplaces. And we were predominantly Surrey Hills and Darlinghurst, which was next door in a lower price category. So what I would do is I'd go through old callbacks and find anyone who lived in Paddington and add them to my database. That was the first thing where I started doing it. And then I'd find any terrace buyer, because we were selling terraces at 2 and 3 million, maybe 1 and 2 at the time, and then trying to convert those buyers and tell them about Ben Collier's listings in Paddington and build the relationship. And I used to, this is how naive I was, I used to go, I hope they buy in Paddington so I can add them to my database and then sell for them one day. That's literally what I used to say to myself. Yeah. And I did that over and over and over again. And then...
You know, I do remember, sorry to cut you off, I remember he did an open house in, I think it was like Brown or Liverpool Street. And I go, mate, how was the open? And he goes, there was about 11 people came through, no buyer. He goes, but it was a really good open. I said, why do you say that? He goes, because I met about 9 Paddington owners. So no buyer, but he just loved the fact that he met 9 owners, which went straight in his database. So he was thinking long term. He didn't care, like he didn't need something straight away. So continue, sorry.
And then we got that guy Simon Doak to come in the office. Yeah. Remember, he started, and he was the Paddington guy at the time, and that was a big deal for the company. So he started, and I was like, and he literally came in with a pile of callback books like this. He had them sitting next to his desk. Yeah. So what I used to do is after the day had finished. By the way, I lived in Cronulla at the time. I used to stay back. Everyone would leave the office and I'd grab the old callback books. Some of them were 2, 3 years old. And I'd put them on my desk and I'd start calling through them. And the whole purpose of it was to build a database. And so I would call up people on there. They're 2, 3 years old. They're obviously not buying. But I'd call them up and go, hey, Mr. Buyer, you still looking to buy? And he'd go, no, mate, like I haven't been looking to buy for a year and a half. I go, oh, cool, where'd you buy? Oh, we bought on Sutherland Street. Oh, mate, amazing. Which number? Okay, cool. What's your email address? And I go, every time I go, yes, another one. Add them to the list, add them to the list. And I used to do that. It was only about an hour and a half after the workday had finished. And I thought to myself, if I can do this for a year or two, like I'm going to build a serious database. Then all of a sudden someone invited me into an open home and I'd take Ivan, because Ivan was an aggressive lister, and he'd come in and list it for me. And then I'd leverage off that. So like Ivan said, anyone that came into the open home and they said, oh, we're not buying, we live up the road, I was like, yes, add another one. And I kept on building. And then anytime something sold on the street, there were none of my sales. So I'd call them all. This just sold. They go, it wasn't you. And I said, yeah, I know, but this just sold. Just want to keep you informed. And I started doing that. And then that turned into more listings, which I generated more people off the back of, built my database even more. Then I had buyers and it was awesome.
Yeah, he did it all that.
It just kept on flowing. But that took years.
Yeah, so like if I'm 24 and I'm starting at Bondi Real Estate ABC, what's a decent amount of database that I need to get some decent traction? And I know that's subjective. Like how many owners do I need on a database to get some traction, decent traction?
I reckon a good 1,000.
1,000 owners.
You have 1,000 owners, because the point of it actually isn't just a database. The way I look at it might be a little bit different, but it's actually about listings. So you have a database to get listings, but where you get other listings is off your current listings. Yep. And off your current listings, you get them through qualification. People come through your open home, you qualify them. Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? Or they just own? If they own, put them on your database. If they're a buyer, are they good enough to go on my buyer list? If they're searching the market, oh, we're not really looking to sell, and you're like, yeah, right, I know you are. You put it on your list, and I used to follow them up. And I used to always say, my pipeline was quite long, so I used to say, whenever anyone comes through my open home and they've come through 1 or 2 of them and they say they're definitely not selling, they would go into my pipeline until I knew unequivocally they are not selling. Because at some point, if you're attending 2 or 3 open homes and you live in the area, you're probably a seller at some point looking at agents, or you're monitoring the market, trying to educate yourself. So I would put them on my pipeline, and I'd keep following up with every single sale and really work that pipeline as well.
Did you always have goals?
Always.
Always?
Always.
Still? Yep.
Yep.
We partied a fair bit in our 20s. How's that changed for you over the years? And if you had your time again, would you do that?
We did. We enjoyed ourselves. I would definitely do it again. I think everything in life, you learn from things you do, and you learn what works and what doesn't work. And I think as you're young, like it's important to go through, chapters of your book. Some chapters of your book are going to be amazing. Like you read the book and you're like, this is unbelievable. Other chapters are going to be pretty dark, and they're not always going to be amazing. But each chapter is just as important as the last. And I think the most important thing is to learn.
So, but you've changed that because you're more health and wellness now than that, obviously, over the last several years. Yeah. Have you noticed a positive impact in that? Would you recommend it to a 24-year-old in Bondi, or would you say to the guy in Bondi at 24, mate, go have fun, whatever, your time will come?
Yeah. No, definitely. I think the one thing that I probably could have implemented into my life is a healthier lifestyle in terms of, I used to work hard. I used to eat healthy, work hard, train, do all that, but then I used to have fun on Saturday nights.
Yep.
And I did that for a long time. But, and I could have pulled that back a lot earlier, 100%. And if I had my time again, would I have done that? Probably, a little bit. But I think the most important thing is it has helped me immensely. I remember I was in my very early 30s and I said, I'm going to start taking this seriously. Because what I found was I would get called into, let's call it 20 listings in a month, and I'd list 8 out of 20. But I knew I could list more than that, and I actually thought I was a better listing agent than a lot of the people that would beat me, but I just wasn't 100%. I wasn't 100% because the listing was on a Monday afternoon, or the listing was on a Tuesday. And serious, and you could have done better. And I decided to take it more seriously. That's the truth of it. And I said, I'm going to take this seriously. And I spoke to you about it. You decided to have an alcohol-free lifestyle. And I said, all right, I'm going to start doing just January. So I started doing just January, not drinking all of January. No, sorry, I did 3 months, January, February, March, up until my birthday. And I started doing that, and I did that for 2 or 3 years. And the amount of traction I got was unbelievable. And you look at my numbers, and my numbers in February and March were like wild compared to the rest of my year. And I'm like, this has to mean something. And then I decided to do no drinking just in Sydney, which I still do, and this is on my 2nd year now. I have fun when I'm on holidays, but when I'm here in Sydney, I don't drink. Yep. I made that choice, and I love it. It's amazing. And I devote my focus to real estate.
Good man. Wealth creation, it's different for everybody. What path have you taken there other than, so you earn your commissions. What have you sort of done, if you don't mind sharing with the group? You don't have to give us all the details, but how have you sort of built that wealth? Has it just been through commissions or? No,
definitely not. Commissions are obviously just one layer to it. Real estate, in terms of like wealth creation, I'm not a mentor, or I'm still learning a lot in that space. But real estate's a vehicle. Like your commissions are a vehicle in order to actually deploy whatever you're making there into other areas. So I've got Ivan as a real estate coach, and I'm extremely thankful. But I've also I meet with a guy once a month about property investing. I've actually got 2 of them. One of them I speak on the phone weekly. The other one I meet once a month. I've got another guy that does my health and wellness, and then I've got my personal trainer who I train with. So I've got mentors and coaches through every facet of my life. But the wealth creation part, just learning along the way. But I bought a few houses, a few investment properties, a couple of terraces and things like that. And I bought and sold my primary residence multiple times because everyone knows tax-free, and trying to climb that property ladder as fast as I can.
Yeah, good on you. And it's some portfolio you've already grown at that age. You changed agencies in the last 12 months. I was obviously a little sad to see you leave Bresic, Winnie, but obviously want the best thing for you. Do you want to just give people an idea as to why you made that decision?
I think I was up to my next chapter of my life as well, Ivan. Like it was very hard for me to make that decision. Like very hard. Like no one, including myself, thought I'd ever leave that company. I was there for 17 years, and the company did everything for me. Love them to death. I wouldn't be the person I am today without Ivan. The team at BW, they did everything for me, and that was my vehicle to get to where I am today. But I also look at my life as I've got another chapter. Like I might be selling real estate for like 10 years, maybe 20, maybe 30. I don't know, but I knew it was time to make a change, and the reason for that change was I wanted to grow individually as an agent to get up the food chain in terms of average sale price.
Yep.
and I wanted to make a change there, and that's why I did that.
Right. And how's business ownership been first 12 months? Eddie,
It's been good. Yeah. Easier than I thought, actually.
well, you're running a business.
But only because I've got the best team. Emily Davidson, who sits there, is my business partner. She's amazing. And Siobhan, unbelievable. I don't know who else is here.
Two of the best girls. Great.
They're amazing. And these guys have been with me forever. And I think we all look after each other. And we're all good at different things. I'm good at listing and selling, but I'm not very good at most other things, to be honest. And I've got people that support me. And we support each other, and we've got a really good culture around that. So everyone sort of fits in where they're good at, and I'm extremely lucky, grateful, and blessed to have these women and gentlemen in my team.
Yeah, it's great. I went in there the other day. I landed on Tuesday. I went in and saw the guys on Tuesday, and it was just electric. Really good energy. And I'm sure it starts at the top and filters down. And so it'd be a great place to work and fun, and you've created that. So well done. And I agree. Emily and Siobhan are two of the best. Just talk to me about the holiday thing, mate. Like, when you started, was that important? Now you have quite lavish breaks and deserve it. How important is that for a 24-year-old, for a 30-year-old, and now a 40-year-old?
The best. I call them sort of recovery sections of the year, and I'll try and do 4 recovery sessions every year. They're not all lavish and long, but you implemented this. You taught this, and Gavin talks about it a lot as well. And we were all very close, and we all sort of did that together. We chose to go away midway through the year because the real estate calendar it really shuts down midway through the year. So we've got an opportunity to take 4 weeks off, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. Most people get 4 weeks off a year. We choose to take that segment off at that particular time. And then obviously end of the year, Easter holidays, and then after this talk, I'm heading up to Byron for a few days to relax.
So I know that now at this stage you want the big breaks, but if I'm a younger 24, 25, 28-year-old, should I be taking those breaks, or yes or no?
Well, no, I think you should still look to recover. So recovery is so important. The industry's hard, like we know that. We're problem solvers. So when you're problem solving every single day, whether it's trying to get a listing, trying to get a buyer up, trying to deal with a vendor, whatever it might be, you don't want to get burnt out. You can actually avoid it. You can avoid burnout even if you work 6-7 days a week, but you have to take breaks. And I think if you're younger and you're starting to come up, the breaks just need to be smaller. Go away for a weekend. Going away for a weekend to clear your head's amazing. So yeah, no, I wouldn't take huge long breaks at the start of my career, but definitely take breaks. I think it's important.
What have you noticed about the market this year? I know your numbers are really strong, but what have you noticed about the market this year? What are you dealing with out there right now, or the last 6 months?
It's very challenging. I think there's a lot of pressure on households at the moment. I think I'm sure everyone in here feels it. It's not just me. Everyone. A lot of vendors are uptight, and who do they take it out on? They take it out on you as an agent. Like Ivan talks about my really good month last month, but what we don't talk about is I had the worst start to my month that I probably had in my career. I had a vendor that had a good relationship for 6 years. I looked at 10 houses for them that were advertised with other agents to give them advice. I went over to their house 4 or 5 times to pitch on their business throughout the few years of them looking to buy. Just going to give you some context around this. I listed it. They had bought, right? They'd bought. I listed it, and they were uptight. They had bought. There's obviously household stress with money. And within 16 days, they took the listing off me. 16 days, they took the listing off me. They put all the pressure back on me. I remember I called Ivan. I'm like, mate, far out, I've lost it.
Rattled you?
It rattled me. It did.
Because they tore the strips off you.
They took it off me, and I had nothing I could do. And that's just the part of the market, and that's just part of what we're at. And I had to figure out a way to overcome that, which I spoke to you, and you were very, very helpful in that. But I think everyone goes through that. And that was the start of my month. Like, we talk about a good month, but like that was the start of it. And I was rattled for 2 or 3 days. Like, I was going to listings, and I never felt my confidence be lower than what it was, and I was in buy negotiations, and I was like, I hope I don't say anything wrong. And then I was trying to speak to vendors and having vendor meetings. I'm like, am I going too hard on them? So, but again, they're the losses that improve us as humans and improve us as agents. Like, you need to go through those. And now I look back on it and I go, I said this to you the other day, I go, that was a silver lining. I'm so glad they took that listing off me. I'm so happy. The reason I'm happy is 3 weeks before that, I was probably going a little bit hard on my vendors. Like, the market's challenging. They were putting the pressure on me, so I was putting the pressure back on them. And I was going pretty hard in vendor meetings. And I pulled that back and I was like, all right, let's just be a little bit more supportive. These people are going through it. They want to sell their asset, which is their biggest asset. Let's help them achieve what they want to achieve. But let's also be a little bit more gentle. Let's help them. You're there as not only their real estate agent, but their trusted advisor. And I think that's really important. So it was a silver lining for me. And I think if you can pull lessons out of everything, because everything's a green light. Like, I don't know if anyone's read that book, Green Lights, but it's amazing. Definitely read it. And Matthew McConaughey talks about everything is a green light. Yeah. Interestingly enough, you just don't know when it's going to become a green light. And the worse the problem, sometimes the longer it takes for it to become a green light. But it's how you deal with it as well. The lessons you learn. Are you going to reflect on what happened? Are you going to reflect on it? Are you going to work out what can I implement in my business and my life to change that? And I did with that particular circumstance. But that was the start of my month this month. I've never had that in my career, and it rattled me, yeah.
He made up for it. He did 10 deals in 72 hours. 10 deals in 72 hours. So pretty impressive.
That was the team.
Yeah, of course. The team did 10 in 72 hours. It's still incredible. Mate, I really appreciate you being here. I'm sure everyone else does. We could talk all day. I think we'll wrap it there.
Awesome.
You're a legend. Ladies and gentlemen, Maclay Longhurst. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.
Good job. Good job, my brother. Good job, mate. That was awesome.
A huge thanks to Macca, because I actually think that's one of his first public appearances. And I just want to thank him for being so open, honest, and vulnerable. That's amazing, Macca. You're a good guy. So impressive. Just a couple of things, just for what it's worth, like what I took note of, like commitment, attitude, discipline, team. A couple of weeks ago, actually, no, it was probably a couple of months ago, I was driving to work, and it's just something to consider. And I was feeling a bit flat, and just by chance, Macca was driving behind me, and he called me, and I spoke to him for 10 minutes, and I had the best day. So just consider that, like how your energy can change. I also want to share, because I've been doing this for a long time too. I had a big loss yesterday too, not a big loss. Like my conversion rate at listings is actually pretty high, but I did lose something, and I lost it because I thought I lost it because of what I said, but when I reflected on it, I lost it because of how I delivered what I said. And it's the whole theme that Mac is talking about, which is people buy your energy. So if you're telling somebody what they don't want to hear, you don't necessarily have to tell them that in a negative way. You just have to figure out what your delivery is. And my delivery was wrong. And then I instantly, like throughout the day, I was pretty angry about it. Then I thought about it and I was like, okay, like that's the best thing that's happened to me in the last week, probably in the last month actually, because that's an opportunity now to be better. So lesson learned, I'll get 10 listings off that.